Hey hoodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're doing a Let's Play with makeup, but this is a very special Let's Play with makeup. I received friend mail from 2 different people, and I now have so much new makeup that I was lucky enough to not have to spend money on, and we're gonna play with some of it. I can't even play with all, like, there's so much of it. If you clicked on this video and you are new to my channel, hi, welcome. My channel is mostly about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, first and foremost. I like to be very discerning about what I invite into my makeup collection, what gets to stay and what doesn't. My hope is that if you watch my channel and you are looking to learn tools and learn with me on how to become a consumer who is more discerning, that's like what the goal of this channel is. But I also believe that we're all allowed to navigate the beauty space however we'd like. So if you want to buy every new makeup release and that's what makes you the happiest, you are welcome to continue doing that. But that's the focus of my channel. I do reviews every now and then, and I also do buy new makeup sometimes just because I'm interested in it. So it's not like completely no consumerism on this channel. It's just more discerning, being more thoughtful about those kinds of things. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. I have additional content there. I do my podcast with my friend Kackie. You can check that out. There's no pressure to. You're just welcome to do it. It's just like an additional way to support me, but not necessarily a better way to support me, just different. But liking and commenting is completely great, and I appreciate any way you support me. It's all valid. Also, just the merch sale is still running, 20% off and everything except for that one hoodie. The promo code is hautemesstom. I have that on the screen for you, and that will be linked down below. That runs until Saturday the 23rd of September at midnight Eastern Standard Time. I also have another podcast with my friend Tiffany, linked down below. It's a music podcast. It's much more, you know, it's fun. Go listen to it, please. Let's get started with this video. So, the 2 people I received friend mail from are Kackie of Kackie Reviews Beauty. She finally got it to me. She finally sent it in the mail, and now it's mine. I will let you know who sent what. My other package was from my friend Ananda, also known as Medium Olive on Instagram. I will link her Instagram down below. If you have a medium olive complexion, she's going to be a really great resource for you. Obviously, I don't have an olive complexion, or maybe not so obviously, because a couple of people have tried to say that I have an olive complexion, which I don't think I do. I think that there's a lot of things going on my skin, but I don't think ultimately olive is where I land. She's gonna be a really great resource for you. She also has been doing, like, you know, the spring, autumn, winter. She recently figured out what color family she was in, so she's been buying makeup based on that. It's really great. It's all on Instagram though, so if you are on Instagram and you are looking for that resource, even if you're not a medium olive skin tone, she's just really great to watch. I think it's really something worthwhile to watch other people with other skin tones explore makeup, because it helps you and it also helps me better understand what might be a good product, like, that doesn't seem like a good product to me, that might be a really great product for someone else. And I think that's like a good thing to be aware of as you navigate the beauty space. Also, Ananda did send me a little sampler of some of her fragrances from her brand Gather, which is a natural fragrance line. I will link this down below too. There's no affiliation, like, I'm not getting paid to talk about it. She sent them to me if you are into natural fragrances. I haven't worn all of them yet, but my favorite one that I've worn so far has been Petal Fetish, which it might or might not exist. Some of these are marked as like limited edition, but this smells like cola, which doesn't really sound like something you would want to smell like, but I promise you, you might. Okay, let's get into the makeup. First things first, I'm gonna put on some of this. I already had this. This is the Make Halo Moon Serum Balm. I replaced my Auric thing with, I don't remember what the Auric thing was called. I don't think I ever called it by its real name, but Auric's Clear Lip Balm. I've been enjoying this more than I had enjoyed that. So we're gonna let that do its work in the world. Let's get started. So I feel like my skin's looking, well, actually, because my skin's looking red, I'm not going to use a green color corrector because I have a new complexion product for us. I'm going to start with the Victoria, I've said this 7 times. I'm going to start with the Victoria Beckham Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. I'm trying to use this up. I think I'm almost there, but every time, I really feel like any day now it's not going to pump. And like, that's ultimately what I'm working towards, but also I'm like scared about it. I'm like a little bit nervous about it. I have other primers. It's not like an end of the world. I don't even need to rebuy it. I'm good on primers, but we're just going to let that set into the skin for a second. How are you doing? How's everyone doing? My allergies are pretty bad because we've had the windows open, but I love having the windows open, and I will suffer for the joy of having the windows open. A breeze in the house, like having the air conditioning off, which we could probably have the air conditioning off and the windows closed, but a breeze? Shut up. The temperature is starting to fall. It's like the most wonderful time of the year. It's like, it's unfortunately only from like now until December where I enjoy the weather, and then it gets really cold in January. Like too cold. Like I don't mind the 40s. Like I don't love the 40s. I want between 50 and 70 all of the time. I like never want it to be hot. Like I don't like being hot. Being hot is one of my least favorite things in the world. I got a couple of complexion products, but I think what will be most interesting to you, not necessarily to me, is the Glossier Foundation. It's the Glossier Stretch Foundation, and Kackie sent me over, I think this is just the one that she used on her channel and she reviewed. It's in the shade L2. And I also have the concealer, the stretch concealer in L2, which I have used before, but it's been a long time. I actually have been using these all weekend, so this will be my 3rd day in a row wearing them. And those are both from Kackie. And then Ananda sent me this, which is a powder foundation from Chantecaille in the shade Bamboo. And I'm not sure if that will work for me, but like, I think it will be okay with my neck. I just don't know that it's gonna like match my face so much. Like it doesn't really match my hand. But like if it matches my neck, I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever tried wearing powder foundation. So that will be a journey we go on. Just not today. I don't think that's where we're gonna head today. Let's start with the Glossier Foundation. I've worn this a couple days and I like it. I'm not like 100% sold on it. If you happen to be new or newer to my channel, one of the most important things to me in a foundation is like blurring. I don't want coverage so much as I want like maybe like a little bit of a light coverage, but I want it to like make my skin look good. I don't want it to cover my skin. So I'm just looking for evening of redness, blurring of my pores. They don't emphasize my pores. What I find with coverage-based foundations, where it's like they're not there to really enhance your skin, it's just like for coverage, is that it makes my pores look not great. So I have found that this is just kind of like a medium, and I will say medium because it's more coverage than I would like. So that's the texture of the foundation. It's not really liquidy. I don't know really what I was expecting, but I guess I was expecting something a little more liquidy than that. Also, the bottle is beautiful. I think they really nailed it. It's very aesthetic. It's very aesthetic in the way that Glossy has kind of always been aesthetic. I've applied it with a sponge and I've applied it with a brush. The brush I applied with it the first time I tried it was a dirty brush, and I didn't really love that, but I cleaned my brushes, so I have clean brushes. We're gonna try a brush today. I haven't tried it with my hands yet. I do think that if I do try it with my hands and it doesn't work with my hands, then I think Glossier has failed, because I think even it's, you know, their whole brand is like, it's supposed to be like easy going. So the shade does look a little bit dark. The weird thing is though, as you start blending it out and moving it around, it's not so dark. Now, obviously I didn't choose this shade. I also trust Kackie. Kackie's pretty good at picking out her shades from a foundation. We wear the same shades every time. Like we just buy the same shades. Kackie recently joked that if we lived closer together, we would have to buy half the foundations that we do now. Kackie's gonna buy more foundations than me anyway. Just like, that's in the nature of her channel. She reviews beauty, whereas I also review beauty, but it's not like the crux of my channel, not the crux of the work I do here. Both things can be valid and we can enjoy both forms of content. I'm just applying it to half of my face so you can see the coverage. Maybe it's a light medium. Maybe I don't want to say it's like a full medium. So this is what it looks like. So it's on this half of my face. It is a little bit dark. Very wet. More wet looking than the things I have worn in a really long time. I'll like actually zoom you in so you can see. But I just feel like right here on my face, it's just like not doing me any favors, and like that's what I would like it to do. Now I obviously could use primers and such, and I use powders as well, you know, to soften a little bit of the way my skin looks. I don't find that this foundation so far is like very forgiving. To me it feels like a foundation that is going to be best for people who have like no problems but want to wear foundation. If that makes sense, like just to even out skin tone. Like I think it does a good job evening out the skin tone. I do think, based on just trying this and hearing other people's experiences, figuring out your match is like an in-person task. I'm not going to complain about trying a shade that's like a hair off if I'm getting to try it for free. It is just so wet looking. So besides the match, I think it like looks nice, but you have to like this finish. And I have noticed even after powdering it, it still kind of maintains this look. Obviously it dulls the shine a little bit, but it kind of comes back out faster rather than not. And I have oily skin, so like my skin often will like look like this at some point. I just don't feel like whenever I put on the Dewdrop foundation, or whenever I put on the Surreal Skin from Cimarron, or even when I put on the Reboot foundation from Makeup Forever, I feel like they all do something that makes my skin look really, really good. And I just feel like this covered. I think we're in a place with foundation where like I want my foundation to do more than that. And it also could be my age. So like this might be, you know, better suited for people in their 20s, in their early 20s or in high school, which could make sense. Like Glossier's brand is in that realm. Like obviously Glossier was a brand I feel like designed for people my age when I was in my mid 20s, and it doesn't seem like a brand that's interested in growing with us. Maybe they're trying to direct their focus to someone younger with this. That could also be something true, and I'm not gonna take offense to that, right? There's a time and a place and a foundation for everyone. This just doesn't feel like super elegant to me. Like it doesn't wow me. I don't know that it will wow me. The thing is, you know, we were just really close, and I do think zoomed out on camera with my lights right now, I think it looks pretty good. I don't think it even looks bad in person. But I also just think this is much less elegant than their skin tint, which is definitely something that's more my speed and definitely not everybody's speed. It's like light coverage, but it blurs the skin. And I swear to God, whenever I used to wear that all the time, that I felt like I was wearing medium coverage foundation, even though it didn't really have that coverage. I feel like it did so many things to even out my skin tone that made it look really good. I don't think that either this nor the skin tint are really good if you have like a lot of texture on your skin. Like I think that texture is really where Glossier kind of falls apart. Like it's not really great on top of texture, but I think this does even less favors for texture than even the Glossier skin tint. If you're looking for coverage, you're looking for like this kind of coverage, it could be a good option for you. I don't even know if I'm going to do like a deep dive review on it. I'm just, you know, sharing where I'm at right now. I do want to still apply it with my hands at some point, but I figured trying it a new way on camera is maybe not the best way. But something that I'm really glad Kackie sent me was this stretch concealer. So the first time I tried the stretch concealer, I was into like Tarte Shape Tape. I was into like super full coverage concealers, like full coverage everything. I just had the skin tint laying around, and then one day after I realized my preferences had changed. I really fell in love with the skin tint. When I first started using the skin tint, I was like, what is this even doing for me? I really like this. I really like this concealer. And it might also have to do with like I'm aging, and so maybe this is also a little bit more forgiving to my under eyes, and I need it. Whereas back then I just was like, what is this doing? And also my coverage preferences have changed. I wore this all day yesterday and it wore beautifully and my under eyes still looked really good. Now, one thing that might be an issue with it is because it's a little bit more emollient. My mascara, you know, kind of ended up smudged at the bottom, and I do think that might have been due to the concealer. But my skin yesterday was also just much more wet looking because I didn't really powder my face. If you watch me put on my makeup in my Instagram live for the last video that I posted, you'll know that I used a fan brush to apply powder. It didn't really work. It didn't really work for me. It wasn't enough powder because I do have oily skin, so I like to powder a little bit more. So that also could be what happened. But I did like the way my under eyes looked. Less the mascara that is a trustworthy mascara and has never done that for me before. I'm glad I'm going to try it again with like fresh eyes. I also think that the shade I bought at the time was too light for me. It wasn't a good skin match. And while I was looking for concealers that brightened the under eye, it was like too bright. I don't know that this concealer is the perfect match. It is like the concealer that goes with this, but you can tell even in the container, the concealer is a little bit lighter than the foundation. But someone else told me that their experience with the foundation and concealer is that the concealer has been darker. I don't know what it is about L2, but that has been my experience. I'm gonna powder my under eyes with the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Brightening Airbrush Under Eye. Gorgeous, amazing, silky. I like this powder, but you know, I don't actually know the name of it. When it's on the back, oh my God. You know, one thing about Charlotte Tilbury is that her packaging really doesn't stand the test of time, does it? I don't carry that powder around in a bag or anything. That's just from me using it at my vanity. Okay, so the next thing I'm pretty sure I don't like, but I'm gonna show it to you because I have it. Kackie ended up with 2 of these, and I think because she bought one and then the brand sent her one in PR. This is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Luminous Perfecting Pressed Powder, and it's in the shade Translucent. I'm not so sure it's translucent, but I haven't tried it with another foundation yet. I've only tried it with this Glossier one, which I think is too deep for me, and I also think this powder deepens it out a little bit. I'm not 100% sure on that, by the way. It's like the vibe. It's like the feeling. Do I want to put any creams on before I do this? No, it'll be fine. I'm gonna powder half my face and then I'll zoom you in. I think the biggest flaw in this, which I don't really understand, is that there are micro shimmers. There's a time and a place for a powder that has a glow, but a powder that has a shimmer in it, I don't think there really is a place. So well, maybe actually, it looks like it brightened. Actually, it looks like it brightened that Glossier foundation quite a bit. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like this side looks deeper. So that's what the finish looks like up close. You can't really see the micro shimmers. It just feels like a choice, you know? But I also don't think it enhances the skin very much. My ideal skin situation is that I have a primer that blurs, and then I have a foundation that blurs, and then I have a powder that blurs. And so this foundation nor this powder blur. And so while I like a luminous finish, and I do think that it took the shine of the Glossier down, which I think is necessary, because I do think that the Glossier foundation is like too emollient. I think it needs to be set unless you have very dry skin. And that could be like the result of it being like a skin caring foundation. I think I might like this powder maybe on a different foundation, but I think how wet the Glossier looks with this shiny powder, and it's not like an eyeshadow or anything like that, it is just a little more luminous. I could see a person who would really like this. I just don't know that it's 100% me, because I like to bring it matte and then also spray my face. You know, it's like a whole to-do. I'm always doing and then undoing and then redoing and then undoing, and that's how I like to do my makeup, and I will not be judged for it. I did not get any bronzers, so I'm going to use the Victoria Beckham bronzing brick, mostly because I saw it sitting there, not for any other reason. The temperature dropped and I was like, I'm ready. I also just got the pumpkin spice cake Nespresso pods in, and that's like my favorite. And I'm not a pumpkin spice girly. We did talk about it on the podcast, my Kackie and I's podcast. I love that. I love that as far as like pumpkin spice goes, but you'll not catch me in line ordering a pumpkin spice latte because I just think they're gross. But if that's your joy, please let it be your joy. I'm not here to steal your joy. Your joy is your joy, and you should enjoy your joy however you would like to enjoy your joy, without shame. So we're just a little bit bronze. It's not, you know, the Victoria Beckham bronzing brick is not the most intense bronze, but I did pull out the Tom Ford if after blush I feel like I need more. So I was sent so much blush. Okay, I'm not gonna apply it in this video because I have already tried it. Ananda sent me this now discontinued blush. And when I show you this blush, you might have already seen it on my Instagram, but when I show you this blush, you'll understand why that's pretty devastating for me. Now, am I ever going to run through this blush? Like, maybe, because it feels like, to me, it feels like one of those blushes where I'm like, you'll be around forever until I hit pan on you, and I'm going to really love you to death. It's this shade right here. So, this is the shade Ombre. It's shade 608, and it's their powder blush. So, I'm guessing that this was either a limited edition blush, or it was a blush that came out before they reformulated, or any kind of thing. And what it reminds me of, I'm gonna grab them. We're gonna do some swatching, okay? And I know that's like not my normal gig. It's annoying to me. You all like it, but for me, swatching is one of my least favorite things to do, because I don't feel particularly blessed at it. And also, having hairy arms, I wish I could, if I had less hairy arms, I would swatch this way, but I swatch on this side because that's like where my hair isn't, and it's not going to look good through the hair, right? So I do need smooth skin, but then I have to show you the swatches in a really weird manner. So I'm not applying this one today, but it's like a beige blush, you know? So Ananda said it's like kind of like a contour, but I wore it on my cheeks and immediately I fell in love. It's almost like a camel on me, which I'm not sure is like a good blush color for me, but it is a blush color I like. So I pulled out the lighter two Finding for Ananda and Kackie blushes, but these both have a little more pink to them, and I think they have a little bit of pink to them because it's like a carrier, because I don't really think that they show up super pink on my cheek whenever I have them blended out, but I think the pink is in there to make them look a little more natural. So there's those two. And another thing I thought of was Pat McGrath Desert Orchid. This definitely has a sheen to it, and it also has more orange to it. It's on my center finger. So there it is there. Like, it's much more intense than this one. Like, this is so good for fair skin. That's like, it's such a pretty color. And I feel like it's such a hard blush shade to find, and now I'm like obsessed with it. Someone did say, while we're here, that it reminded them of the tan shade in the Beautopsy palette. I don't really like sticking my finger in the Hindash formulas because I know that they have a propensity to hard pan. I'll risk it. This looks a little bit lighter. It's a little more yellow. So it's right here. And then the ombre is right there. I'm gonna have makeup all over this vanity. I'm turning into Kackie. I need to get these out of the way so I don't lose my mind. So yeah, those are the ones that reminded me the most of it, but nothing quite like it. And I really love it. And I know that I normally like test things for longer, but I already know that I like Chanel's blush formula. So I'm gonna, it's already invited into the blush drawer. I'm beyond impressed with that. I'll use it on camera in another video, or I'll at least have it on. So keep your eyes peeled for it, whether I'm applying it on screen or check the description box if you see something on my cheek that might be it, so you can see it. Ananda also sent me some Phytosurgence blushes that she was ready to part with. So they're all from the Toasted line. So I have Evaporate, Sublimate, and Exothermic. One time I was on a Phytosurgence, like one of their lives, and I message them occasionally. Like Jason will message me and like we have friendly conversations, you know? And in that live, I said, I love condensate. And he said, oh, Tom, I thought you would like Evaporate more. And every time I see Evaporate, I think, oh, that looks like it's going to be orange. But it's kind of almost like ombre, but like it's like deeper camel. And I don't even know that it really has orange in it. Maybe, and maybe on some people it would maybe read a little bit orange. I put this on my cheek yesterday and I was like, that's the stuff. That's the ticket. I was really into that. And I did swatch it against like Mimi and Inner Glow. Where's Mimi? Where's Mimi? There's right there. Here's Mimi. So I guess it's like a little bit darker, but kind of in the same family, which is good because this is the kind of blush that I really like. It's also, I swatch it against the ones from Kackie and neither one really comes close. Olay maybe would be the closer of the two, but it's not quite it. That's Olay from Kackie and Finding Ferdinand. Here's Inner Glow from Kira Weiss, which is also in this beige family. That one has a sheen to it, and it's not as dark. And it reads more of like a pink on me, but I have heard from other people that it can pick up a little bit orange. It's not quite any of those. I will put it next to Condensate from Phytosurgence. That one is more purple, right? Definitely much more cool, like decidedly much cooler. But when you blend them out, it reads more of a beige. I really hit the jackpot with that. I'm also gonna swatch Exothermic. It's kind of the same idea. To me, it's like the deeper condensate. You see, like, I haven't put this one on my cheek yet. I feel like this is gonna read maybe a little bit more berry on me. Again, I haven't applied it yet, but I'm excited to. And then I also have Sublimate, which I'm gonna wipe off my arms before I swatch that one. I don't have anything like Sublimate, so I can't really do swatch comparisons for you. Here's Sublimate. It's like I think someone said it's like a kind of like a cranberry-y shade. There it is on the finger. It's a little bit of a berry, so I'm a little bit afraid of it because I don't really love berry tones, but I'll put it on my cheek before I make that decision, but that's what that one looks like. It's still very pretty. It's, you know, like something can be pretty, but also not for me. That's kind of how I feel about it whenever I play with it. But who knows? It could be one of those things where I put it on and then kind of like with me in the color pink this past year, it becomes something that I like end up enjoying on my face. As it currently stands, that's that. I also, God, there were so many blushes sent to me. Heliotrope from Rose Inc., which I haven't tried, and also at one point was looking to do a Rose Inc. review, and when it came to the blushes, I was like 0% interested. On camera, it's looking. Does that look orange to you? It's not orange looking in person. It kind of looks like it could be like a soft rose, or maybe a little bit beigey. Okay, that's something. I wasn't sure I was gonna like that shade. It kind of reminds me of. I'm really turning into Kackie in this video. Kiss of Pink. Like maybe, oh no, it's a little more to it than Kiss of Pink. Kiss of Pink's on the bottom. Okay. Also, like, Rose Inc. as a brand overall hasn't been super intriguing to me or super interesting to me. And then I also have this, which kind of has been the thing I wanted to try most. This is from Oma. Kackie sent this to me. And this is the Double Take Skin Perfecting Blush Duo in Fair Lady. So they're swatched on my fingers, the center and ring. Does that look like heliotrope? Goodness gracious. We're learning so much today. Heliotrope's like in between the two. Interesting, fascinating. Is this supposed to be highlight skin perfecting? Because I don't know if that could be maybe like a blush topper. After swatching all of the blushes, I think I do want to put heliotrope on the most, or exothermic. I don't know that either is going to go with the eye look. Let's try the Rose Inc. one, because I've not put this on my cheeks yet. I don't think even Ananda even touched it because it looked completely untouched. So I'm going to take the Sonia G mini base. Hopefully this plays well on top of powder, and I'm just going to tap it. That's really pretty. It kind of reminds me, now that it's on the skin, a little bit of Latte from the Kackie and Finding Ferdinand collab, The Summer Abroad. I'm having trouble figuring out the finish of this. I don't know if it's really glossy or if it's just because I'm putting it on top of the Glossier, but I think that's really pretty. I do. I kind of wasn't expecting that. I was kind of expecting more pigment because the Oma was kind of like a similar shade and a little bit deeper. I'm going to take the matte side here. My experience with Oma products so far, which is a little more minimal, is that they tend to be pigmented, so I'm just going to focus on the back here. Yeah. My cheek isn't going to match the eye, but we're just going to live with it. Those go together very well. Both of those blushes made some points. Okay. I'm not mad at either one of them. I meant to take a decongestant before I started filming. I didn't. Okay, I was sent a couple of highlighters. Kackie sent me two from Unearthly, the shades Mirage and Twilight. I'm not super familiar with Unearthly. I know a lot of the indie eyeshadow people I follow, people on Instagram, are like kind of not impressed with Unearthly, and I'm not really sure all of the details of that. I've never ordered from them before, and I follow them, but I don't really know what the tea is. That's the shade Mirage, and then this is the shade Twilight. And I was also gifted the Rare Beauty highlighter in the shade Enlighten, and many of you have recommended this to me, and I'm not quite sure why, but I'll swatch it for you real quick. Mine's intact. I don't know if Ananda bought it in store or if she ordered it online and it came intact for her. I know it's a blessing to get one of these not broken, so I understand how privileged I am. That's it there. Okay, it looks much more unassuming in a finger swatch than it does on the cheek. I have applied to this one already, and it was too much. It was so much highlight. It was giving big 2016 energy, and I didn't really care for it, but it was my first time trying it, so I can be more aware of that going in. I did put foundation on top of it, and then it looked really beautiful, but then it felt a little bit fussy to me, and I didn't really care for that. Twilight, I applied on camera on my Instagram live that I did the other day, and it reminds me of the Fenty Diamond Bomb. Twilight is on my index finger, and then the Diamond Bomb is on my middle finger. The Fenty is on top, and then the Unearthly one is on the bottom. So here's the Fenty, here's the Unearthly. So you get a lot more bang for your buck with the Fenty, and whenever I applied the Twilight shade on my cheek with a brush, the shimmer was much more inconsistent than what I get with the Fenty. And since I'm kind of calling it right now on the shade Twilight, is that I'm gonna pass it on to a friend. It's really pretty, but I have it the same thing essentially in a better format with the Fenty. I'm gonna pass this on to someone else. And if they don't have the Fenty Diamond Bomb, then it will probably be very exciting for them, but it felt like a little bit of a downgrade from the Fenty Diamond Bomb. And that's in the shade How Many Carats, by the way, the Fenty one. I don't think Mirage has a place on my face today, but it's very enticing. So I guess we'll go into the Rare Beauty. I'm so nervous. I think there's a couple of things happening. I need to maybe try it with a foundation formula that's a little less wet. Even though I powdered my face with the Laura Mercier powder, I still feel like my face is just more wet than usual. And so maybe it wasn't just the fact that I powdered with a fan brush the second time I used this. Maybe it's just a foundation that breaks through powder. And I have used it with my regular powders, the Glossier. Okay, I'm gonna tap off as much as I can of this. And okay, that is very pretty. That is very pretty. The way I just applied it, very pretty. I understand this. I'm gonna be brave and bold and apply it the way that I did yesterday. So no tapping. Well, I think I did it one tap off. I also used a different brush, so it could be also the brush. Like, I don't like that. This, beautiful. This, too much. I'm kind of curious as to why this became not only such a popular release from Rare, but also one that kind of ended up getting recommended to me a number of times. I'm just taking what's the remainder of what's on the foundation brush and tapping it in. Also, I do want to try it with a different foundation. I feel like my face is just so wet. I just feel like my face is so wet. I just feel like this glossy foundation is giving me too much. And it might just be like not oily skin friendly. That also could be the truth. But this has kind of been the resolve of the Glossier my last couple of days experimenting with it. Okay, let's move on to eyeshadow. This is what I've been the most excited to talk to you about because I got to try brands, two brands I guess that I never would have tried. Yeah, two brands that I probably never would have bought something from, but now that I have, I think I'm excited to maybe try more from one of the two brands. My vanity right now is a mess. So I'm gonna prime my eyes with the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. Is that what it's called? It is what it's called. Yeah, I wasn't just making it up this time. And then I'm gonna set that with some loose setting powder from Pat McGrath. I'm just trying to use up this powder. It's like truly almost gone. It's what I use it for every time I use it. Well, I did powder my face with it yesterday with a sponge, which I haven't done in 5 years. It's been a long time since I've done that. It's the Glossier still fought through it too. Well, I didn't bake. Also, if I ever use a foundation that I have to bake for it to set, then I think I'm not super interested in that. I got sent 2 palettes. The Don't Be Jelly palette from Unearthly. And then I also was sent this from LH Cosmetics. It's the Aim Higher palette. And this is what it looks like. I'm like so into cool tones right now, so this really sings to me. You know what it reminds me a bit of? The Pat McGrath Mothership 1. Gives me the same vibes. It's not exactly the same. I do feel as though the Pat McGrath palette has like a more silver purple gray situation, and this is definitely like more of a blue gray, which is a subtle difference, but it is in fact a difference, a noticeable difference if you're like paying a lot of attention to that kind of thing. I have worn this eyeshadow palette the past 2 days and I have been loving it. So I'm gonna take this shade up here. I have some feedback for you, LH Cosmetics. Why? Look at how small it says Aim Higher. Now, if you also watch Kackie, I now understand why Kackie maybe didn't know what the name of the bronzer was for so long, because the font is so small. It's also small on the eyeshadow names. Wait, why? All that to be said, the quality of these eyeshadows is really, really good. Rivaling some of my favorites, like Viseart and also Hindash, which are 2 of my favorite matte eyeshadow formulas. They're easily buildable and easily blended. And that's the kind of eyeshadow formula I'm looking for. Even with brights, that's how I want, I mean, not this is a bright palette, but like, that's my ideal situation whenever it comes to playing with eyeshadow. I just want it to be something that just blends out kind of on its own, where you just like put the brush down and it's like blended. And I have noticed that that has been the case for this. I've not been disappointed with my eyeshadow anytime that I've done it with this. So then I'm gonna take the shade, the next deepest gray. I mean, I did like a pretty in-depth eyeshadow look. My big Viseart palette I did a look where I had everything zoomed in so you could see, kind of walk you through how I apply eyeshadow. I'm doing the same thing here. I'm getting shimmers all over my lid, and I'm not quite sure where the shimmers are coming from. Might be from in the palette, but maybe I used a dirty brush. I've only used these brushes once, so they shouldn't be dirty. That shouldn't be happening. If we've learned anything from watching my channel, is that there's always a shimmer particle somewhere. Okay, that's the 2 shades blended. You see what I'm saying? Do you see the blend? I didn't have to work that hard at it either. And then I'm gonna take the black shade and I'm gonna just kind of keep it on the lash line and pull it out. I really like this black eyeshadow. I don't always, fuck with black eyeshadow. It's kind of risky, just kind of building like a very soft, blown out wing to lift the eye a little bit. But I find that it's pigmented enough, and I'm sure if I really built it up, I could get like an opaque black, but that's not what I'm looking for. But I was just really impressed with like how easy this black was, particularly to work with. Again, it reminds me of like Viseart shadows, Hindash shadows, where like if I want it to be fully black, I can do that. But if I don't, and I want it to be like a little bit easier to blend, which is ultimately my largest goal, is like having a very blended look. It's really a big success. I'm very impressed with these eyeshadows. I might not use a shimmer from this palette just so we can get one of the Unearthly shades on my eyes as well. But I mean, just really, really lovely. I'd be very curious to try more things from LH now, because I was very impressed. I'm very impressed with these eyeshadows. I was also sent this, which we might also put this is the shade Chloe from Odin's Eye. And this is from the very polarizing set of shimmers that they released earlier this year. I think they did multi-chromes and shimmers. Ananda did send me this one. Here it is here. It's really pretty. I think it would look really good. I put this on top of one of the LH Cosmetics yesterday. Maybe we'll put it on its own today. The kind of drama with these was that the longevity wasn't consistent for everyone. I'm gonna just say that buyer beware. I'm not saying that those people are lying, the people who had those issues. What I will say is that I haven't had the longevity issues. Like, I wore this all day yesterday and it didn't even crease on me, but I've also seen people where it creased on them right away. So I believe everyone's experience, which also, you know, that's not really looking great for the brand, because it's like, if it's that inconsistent for each person. I'm just gonna apply it with my finger. It reminds me a little bit of Ice Blink. It's definitely more purple than Ice Blink, a little less nuanced than Ice Blink, but you know, given Ice Blink vibes, it's very pretty. I'm gonna zoom you in because I don't think that the camera at this distance is doing it any justice, because look at that. Look at that. Hold on, let me get One Direction lighting. Ooh, that's really pretty. Again, that's the shade Chloe from Odin's Eye. It's in their singles. It's a little single. Again, I just keep in mind, if you do decide to purchase from Odin's Eye, that does seem that they have some quality control issues. And I know some people personally who don't buy from them because of customer service issues that they've had. I've not personally, in either capacity, I have bought from Odin's Eye before. My stuff has worked very well, and I also have enjoyed this shade. I just want to make you aware. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty. It's an inner corner highlight, very 2016 inner corner highlight. It is pretty. It's just so bright, which is like just not where I'm living in eyeshadow recently. For liner today, I'm going to use the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal in Ash. I'm just going to tightline and put it in the waterline. And then I'm just going to use my Tarte Tartelette Tubing Mascara. This would be normally where I would spray my face, but I don't think that's a very good idea today, considering just how shiny I'm already looking, and I have already powdered. Anyway, for lips, I have so many options. So I have two lipsticks from Unearthly. This is the shade Kalina. And then I also have the shade Aura. I don't think either one of those would really like go with what we have going on today. So I was also sent two other lipsticks. I was sent this shade from Oma, which is Chitor. It has this glitter on the outside. I don't really notice the glitter on my lips whenever I've worn this, but it is like this sheer brown black. I wore it in my video yesterday, and then I also was gifted this shade from Gucci. It's the shade Cimarron. Doesn't that look like I should already own it? It really does. And it's kind of like a raisiny brown. I would say it's brown before it's raisin, but I feel like it has a little bit of a raisin in it. Since I wore this in the video yesterday and you've already seen it on my face, I'm going to put on the Gucci lipstick. And that is the final look. Speed run through. The Glossier Foundation, I'm mid on. The stretch concealer, really have been enjoying. I have so many blushes, but I really like this blush combo. I'm excited to play with both of them on their own. Like, I have a lot of blush to try. The highlighter, it looks good today. I think I can work with it. I don't know that it's gonna be something that I keep around forever, but I'm not done testing it. I do think it looks beautiful today. I just feel like I need to try everything with a different foundation, is really how I'm feeling about it so far. For eyeshadow, I mean, I've been loving this LH Cosmetics palette. Like, I love it a lot. I really enjoyed using this today. I think it's a really pretty shade of eyeshadow. That's it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. There's so much makeup sitting in front of me that I didn't even like get to put on my face today because I received so much friend mail. So be on the lookout to see some new things popping on my face from the friend mail. Thank you so much to Kackie and Ananda for sending me things my way. If you are someone who's in beauty and you were looking for like an affordable way to try new things, if you can manage to make a beauty community online and you're comfortable like mailing things to other people and receiving things back, It's a really great way to get your hands on things and try things that you might not have wanted to pay for or would never have tried unless someone passed it on to you for free. I know a lot of people in my Instagram sphere, we all send makeup to each other. I'm like maybe the worst one who does it because I take forever to ship things. So I apologize. There are several people who I owe packages to. Anyway, I highly recommend it. I think there is like Reddit groups for it too. You have to do that at your own discretion. Like I just think it's a really great way to also make sure that makeup that you're not interested in, if you don't have a close group of friends who are into makeup in your like direct vicinity, to pass those on. Obviously, if you have gently used makeup, you could donate it to women's shelters and LGBTQIA places so that you could do that as well. But like, you know, it's just a way to keep the makeup from not always having to be new. It can be new to someone else. Anyway, that wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed and you enjoyed the vibe today. Make sure to like this video. Again, I'm on Patreon, but there's no pressure to do it. The sale is still going on for the merch, so 20% off with the code hautemesstom. And that's everything. Remember to follow your haute, and you will find me. I will see you in a video very soon. Bye-bye! Forever!